Meeting to order and ask that you stand for the pledge of allegiance and remain standing. Pastor Frank, lead us in prayer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you tonight. Lord, once again, we're so very thankful for each and every one of these folks who serve our community. Lord, we pray that you would just give them wisdom, understanding as they move through the agenda this evening, help them with any decisions that need to be made, Lord, that you would just guide and direct. Lord, once again, we're so very grateful for the privilege that we have to live in a community such as this. And we ask your blessing now tonight, and we pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you as always, Dr. Cross. Roll call, Lisa. You have one? Oh,
James Eitzen,
President.
Wendusa,
Here.
Bill Gritzmaker,
Here.
Mike Gunner,
Here.
Jerry Hayes,
Here.
Eric Rogers,
Here.
Timothy Waters.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting on September 9th?
So I move to approve the minute from our September 9th, 2024 meeting as presented.
I'll support. Thank you. Lisa?
Tim,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
James.
Yes, thank you. Moving on to presentations and communications, I do have a proclamation regarding Family Court Awareness Month. This is something we do on an annual basis, but I'd just like to take a minute and read through this. So the proclamation to declare November to be Family Court Awareness Month. Whereas the mission of Family Court Awareness Month, FCAM for short, is to raise awareness about the importance of a family court system that prioritizes child safety and acts in the best interest of children. FCAM also aims to improve recognition among court professionals, legislators, and the public that family court decisions have profound and lasting impacts on the lives of children and families, making it essential that these decisions are informed by the latest research and best practices in child safety. Whereas an estimated 58,000 children in the United States are ordered into unsupervised contact with abusive parents each year, resulting in hundreds of child murders during visitation with a dangerous parent. In Michigan, 39 children have been killed by a parent since 2008 during divorce or custody disputes. Whereas in August 2024, 6-year-old Rowan Morey of Caledonia, Michigan, was not returned to his mother after his father's parenting time. A search led police to discover that Rowan had been shot and killed by his father, who then took his own life. Rowan's mother had previously reported the father's abusive behavior to both family court and child protective services. Whereas in August 2022, 16-month-old Chaos DeMillo McCarthy was murdered by his father in Genesee County. A Genesee County judge had awarded the father temporary custody just weeks before the boy's death, despite the father's prior felony conviction. Whereas in September 2021, 3-year-old Dylan Thebo was fatally shot by his father in a murder-suicide during court-ordered visitation in Kent County. Dylan's mother had made repeated efforts to report her ex-husband's abuse and threats to 6 different entities. In 2015, I'm not sure how to pronounce this. The Simhoney children's abuse claims were dismissed by the Oakland County Family Court, and the children were sent to juvenile hall for resisting visitation with their father. Controversial reunification therapy was ordered, which mandates reconciliation with alleged abusers. This therapy, which is not evidence-based, has shown to be detrimental, and despite findings of judicial misconduct in the case, reunification therapy is still frequently ordered by family courts. Whereas Kent County, Michigan, following 6 domestic violence-related homicides within 3 months in 2021, recognized the need for a specialized domestic violence court. This court, staffed by individuals knowledgeable about the intricacies of domestic violence, aims to support victims and families, hold offenders accountable, and prevent further homicides. Whereas the mission of Family Court Awareness Month is to promote judicial education and awareness about the necessity of using scientifically validated, evidence-based treatment programs that are proven to be safe and effective. This education should not include training on domestic violence. This education should include training on domestic violence, child abuse, emotional, psychological, physical, and sexual, childhood trauma, coercive control, and post-separation abuse for judges and all professionals involved in family court cases. FCAM is dedicated to educating judges and family court professionals on the importance of incorporating evidence-based, peer-reviewed research into their decision-making. This includes the Adverse Childhood Experiences, ACEs, study, Vincent Folletti, Kaiser Permanente, CDC, Child Custody Evaluators Belief about Domestic Abuse Allegation, Daniel Saunders, University of Michigan, and Child Custody Outcomes in Cases Involving Parental Alienation and Abuse Allegations, Joan S. Meyer, GW Law School. This research reveals a prevalent gender bias against mothers who report abuse in family courts, despite false allegations being rare, and emphasizes the need for impartial decision-making to protect children's well-being. Whereas Family Court Awareness Month aims to encourage collaboration among legislators, advocates, professionals, and community to improve family court practices, ensuring they are guided by evidence-based research and prioritize the safety and best interests of children. Now, therefore, I, James Eitzen, hereby declare the month of November to be Family Court Awareness Month. So thank you for your attention to that. Secondly, we have the River Raisin Erosion Project updates.
Aaron Hacker, Max Smith Group, good to see you again. So this project, we just wanted to give an overview. Last year, we were asked to look at some erosion areas along the River Raisin and look at some of the feasibility of kind of stabilizing the river if we could. We broke it up into 2 projects. This scope of work for this year, we had to meet with the staff. Yeah, by the way, the presentation's over here. If you guys want to look, I won't be offended if you don't look at me. So this year, we met with the staff on site to look at the existing conditions and where the areas of erosion were most needed to be looked at for stabilization. We surveyed for the next phase, which is hydraulic modeling and construction that you'll need for permitting through Eagle, things like that, and construction documents for what we need to do where to stabilize. We developed a field assessment based on what we had, we looked at what we found in the field and what we think we could do to fix it. We reviewed the threatened and endangered species, which is a big deal. Anytime you're near riverine, you gotta deal with that for permitting, so we wanted to see what could possibly hold us up as far as that goes. And then we did a study, to kind of like tie it all together. I was just the project manager, so I helped, but I did not do a lot of the heavy lifting, and that's what Alex Peters and John Freeman from Atkins Smith did. Alex is gonna take it from here, and you can go to the next slide. After I show the really cool photo of the survey that we did, for portions of it, so. We have that in the can now, and it's ready to rock, and we went through, we did a bathology, we did the, got the basin and all that stuff, so we were ready to go prior to all that. This is Alex Peters, and we'll take it away.
Yeah, everyone. All right, so I'm gonna talk about some of the assessment we did and also the feasibility study. So on the screen are the maps of the areas of the river basin that we looked at. It's kind of hard to see, but it goes through most of the, town center area. Let's go to the next slide. Here's a few photos of some of the different areas of erosion that we encountered. Some were a lot more severe than others. You can go to the next slide. I think there's a few slides of photos. Here's some with some exposed roots, trees leaning into the river. We had a pretty good range of erosion conditions from very severe to more moderate in different areas, especially along the outside bends of the river is where it's most severe. Slide, please. Here's a good photo of some of the erosion that's happening in the park. You can see how close that bank is getting to the pavilion right there, and some of the trees that are leaning into the river that clearly the bank was a little bit further to the right at one point. Next, please. Here are some of the threatened and endangered species that came up during our review. These are all federally listed species. The big takeaway is that overall there's going to be the bats. There's several different listed bat species, which are going to create a tree clearing limitation for any projects that we do. And then the river basin is home to a lot of different mussel species, all of which are protected. And especially there's a federally threatened or endangered species in the river basin. So any work in the water is going to necessitate mussel surveys, which will eat into some project timelines. Okay, now the fun stuff. So next few slides are a little bit of the different stabilization techniques that we were investigating as potentials for river basin. These are all, for the most part, bioengineering techniques, meaning that they use a lot of natural principles and techniques so that it's working with nature and trying to improve habitat and also stabilize the bank. So it's not just building a bunch of seawalls. So this example shows different technique we call bank regrading and tow protection. There's a lot that could go into this, but we looked at benefits and limitations for each of the different techniques and also cost range. So this specific technique involves doing earth moving, grading, banks back, plantings, and the cost for that is about $100 to $300 per linear foot. This is another stabilization method that involves using trees, downed trees, and other woody debris to kind of cinch them into the bank. And over time, as sediment comes down the river, it builds the bank back up. And then if you could go back a few slides.
Trying.
That one's good, thank you.
Okay.
These are some other techniques of putting things out into the bank to help deflect water and flows away from the outer bends to help prevent future erosion and build the bank back. Again, all of these are using natural materials. So for example, this is using, again, trees or logs and also rock Next, please. This is maybe, well, this is definitely the most engineered solution, I guess you could say. This, is in particular useful in certain situations where we don't have a lot of room, and that's definitely one of the big challenges with the river basin, especially as it goes through the village, is that, I mean, the river's right up against some of these, roads and houses, so there's not a lot of room to work. So this drilled shaft wall kind of rose to the top. It is the most expensive of the options that we were looking at, but it involves stabilizing the slope from the top of the slope rather than the bottom of the slope. So it uses less room, and it can also be engineered so that it potentially won't require permitting, which can be a big deal, especially for the river basin, because there's a lot of permitting complexity, I guess I'll say. Next slide, please. And then this is the last technique we looked at. This is building the bank back out into the river. If you click once, there should be a few photos that pop up of an example of what that looks like. And then the last part of what we'll be talking about we did look at some specific portions of the river and what our recommendations would be for different techniques that we could use and where. So this is probably easier to see in the report that we have prepared, but this is one reach. I think this is along either Lane Street or Pearl Street.
Lane and Walden.
And thank you. So in this particular reach, the river's really close to the road, and there's also utilities right along the road, so there's really not any room to kind of grade the bank back or anything. So we're looking at that drilled shaft wall that I had mentioned earlier in this particular reach, and then in the bend where there's a little bit more room, we can do a bit more of a natural solution. Next, please. This is just further downstream from that exact location. So again, we're seeing the drilled shaft wall, and then we do think in certain areas we want to look at keeping as many existing trees in place as possible that are on the banks, because those are holding the banks in place. So we want to keep as many, trees there, try to take out as few as possible. So we're looking at that palmetto method here, which involves anchoring woody debris to the bank and then building that bank back out with natural river processes. Here's part of the park. So there's the ball fields and the lower right hand side. And in the park, we're looking at, there's a lot more room to work, especially in this area. So we're looking at doing some regrading. It's less steep, which means we don't have to regrade as far back. So we have a lot more options in this area. Would be less costly than the wall, for example. And then I think the next slide is also part of the park, where if you remember that photo from before, the banks have receded significantly. So for this instance, we're looking at building the bank back out into the river back to its original position before the erosion happened, using a variety of the natural techniques that we talked about before. We did look at what an area, this is just downstream of the park. And here the erosion actually wasn't as bad. So part of the reason is because there's already a lot of trees in that area that are holding the bank in place. So for this area, we think we can get away with a less intensive solution. And then I think the next slide is the last reach, which is, this is along the North Lane. Yeah. So again, this is the same issue as the first and second reach that we looked at near Walnut, is that the infrastructure is so close to the top of the bank that we really don't have a lot of room. So in this instance, we're also looking at that drilled shaft wall technique. So with that, I think I'm going to kick it back to Aaron to kind of talk about where we're going next.
So a lot of the presentation was developed with draft reports that we have, which will circulate. We thought it would be good to have a presentation here to show what we've been doing and what the findings are. And we didn't know if there'd be any commentary that we needed to include in the reports to finalize them, but we'll be submitting those to Danielle shortly after the meeting to find, she has all 3 draft reports, so we can circulate those and finalize them for task 1 through 5. Like I said, this year, we broke it up into the 2 separate projects, so the next steps are for task 6 through 10. We're gonna look at funding strategies, because obviously this costs money, so we're hoping to identify some grants and solutions like that. We've kind of briefly looked at it, but not in detail, like we're planning on to get the cycle of when it can be done and all that. It's kind of what the field is there. And then the hydraulic analysis that I said, so the survey from task 2, we're gonna use that to do the hydraulic analysis and provide all the certifications to Eagle that they'll want for the JPA permit. Coordinate with all the agencies and then just prepare the construction documents, which is probably, it's hard to say how far away that is, but with the permitting processes and the grant identification, things like that so we're hoping soon, but we're gonna keep progressing and try to get at least something on the shelf that can be taken off and implemented when funding is found, if the project is found to be too expensive to implement immediately. So that's where we are. If there's any questions or anything, that's where we're at.
I have a question. Is there any survey or data regarding communities where they have removed a dam system? And how it has affected their erosion control in that area?
Not that I'm aware, John or Alex, either one of you.
We didn't look at them as part of this project. And we actually didn't look into any of the dam removal. I know there's a few, I'll come up closer to the microphone. We didn't look into any dam removal as part of this feasibility study. Not to say that there aren't studies out there, I think we would have to search for them, but we didn't look at them as part of the scope so far.
Did you go past the dam? There's no really reach zones after that, so is it something that's not as bad, or?
We ended our evaluation at the dam.
You ended at the dam?
Yeah.
So obviously, a lot of money, huge undertaking, you're looking at potential grants or, Eagle issues, Army Corps of Engineer, et cetera. It looks like the bends, the tight bends are the worst. Would that be your recommended first phase, or would there be a recommendation you would have to start?
Like a priority, Mike, is
Yeah.
what you're referring to, yeah.
We did look at priority. I think there's kind of 2 different thoughts to the priority that we outlined in the report. Is that there's kind of the low hanging fruit projects that are cheaper and we could probably get funded a bit quicker, like those projects in the park. And those would also serve as a good pilot to show funders that, we can implement these and they're successful. And then the kind of higher hitting projects that are a lot more costly are probably the ones that are most needed, of course. And those are the ones along North Lane and Walnut.
Is it too late to add North Monroe Street to that mix?
I think there'd probably be opportunity in the next phase. We could probably add that in, if there were other locations that we wanted to add in. I would say too that, sorry, no, you're fine. Yeah, if I think of it, I'll say it, I'm sorry.
And you're saying like a seawall system, like a Cold River Walk, that's really enticing now, but that's cheaper or that's more expensive than like a proposed natural barrier, natural berm, go back in, or I mean, it's more expensive, sorry.
You triggered my memory.
Okay.
Thank you. I believe we would permit all of it together and then construct, because permits will last, 2, 3, you can always renew them. So our goal would be to permit all of them together and then have that ready to go, and then the low hanging fruit could be separate projects bid out. And as far as you were saying, the drill shaft is more expensive than the natural feature.
Yeah, typically the engineered solutions, like the heavily engineered hard infrastructure solutions like a seawall or the drill shaft wall are more expensive because of the material that goes into them versus the natural solutions are reusing a lot of material that's on site and also readily available material. The thing with the natural solutions is it does require a bit more skilled labor, or not so much skilled labor, but a different type of construction that a lot of contractors are familiar with. So there is that barrier.
Yeah, anytime you get into a seawall with concrete, things like that, it goes fast, like $2,400 a foot, $3,000 a foot, so.
So the study was not the entire length of the river throughout the entire village.
John, you might know the limits better than me, but we walked and identified the areas of erosion.
Okay.
We had a decent
Throughout.
feel, but yeah, throughout the
Right.
village, yeah.
Right, but there's no, it's not necessary for the entire village.
We stopped actually right past the dam. when we looked at
the dam.
that. So that was,
How far did we go?
so we went all the way, on the south side of the village, all the way to right past the dam, and then there's nothing past that, that was included. Right, so not, cause then it kind of winds back around and then comes down, North Monroe, and none of that is included.
Gotcha. That's, okay.
Yeah, that really right at the dam was those properties right there were our last properties that we looked at.
So never over there by Kneisels or anything of that type. That's what I think. Jerry, is that what you were
Yeah,
referring to?
yeah, because it wraps around up behind the properties on Maple Street and then back.
And like I said, we could amend the task 5, do an abbreviated version of, just go out quickly. We don't have to rewrite the whole report, just amend it based on what we find there too. So we could include that.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. I was under the impression it was only going to be the park area. I don't know why I was thinking that, but that was what I was thinking of the erosion only in that portion. I didn't realize it was gonna be that extensive.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that's good. It's more extensive.
Well, how much of this covers?
I don't know, how much did you cost us?
And that's why a lot of it, like if you go down to South Lane there, it's actually the road guardrail and then it
Yes.
drops down to the river. So that was an area we wanted to look at because we're getting to the point, if it continues, it's going to start impacting the roadway there, which obviously is public infrastructure within our village.
Yes.
And then kind of from there, we just continued down, because obviously the park was included, but then every time you hit those bends, like that you mentioned,
Right there.
we were seeing erosion down by the dam. It's pretty bad there where it drops right off as well. And my understanding, and if you look at what used to be there, you can see where it's come back further and further.
It definitely started with the park and then
Yeah.
it was, let's kind of make sure there's
No,
nothing else.
that's fine. I think you're absolutely right, explaining that portion over there along Lane where it does become that public
Well,
infrastructure.
And Lane's the same way. There's not much, there's a little bit more there before it's river and roadway, but than it is down on the south side.
When you
but
start
not
looking,
much.
sometimes you're surprised at what you find.
I hate to say it, but we're gonna have to do something sooner because it's getting worse and worse every year. I mean, you look at
There's no choice, yeah.
those tight bends and then that old lift station or whatever is at Walnut in Lane Street there. That's about ready to collapse into the water. That thing was always sturdy. So whether it's flooding, whatever it is.
Can you put money back to this, Danielle, for this 24,
Yes, you did.
25
Yeah.
budget?
So
Okay.
you guys did budget for the task 6 through 10.
Okay, so we've got that.
Yes, and we're hoping that all of the premise of all of this work was to get us prepared and set up to be able to hopefully get some grant funding to help with all of this. So that's really our ultimate goal, because I haven't seen a final or a price tag or estimate on this, but I'm sure we can afford it.
And if we could afford it, what's an aggressive timeline to have this completed? Just based upon,
Completed or in construction? Probably,
You can't.
I would think, 2026 would be aggressive for construction. And then, I mean.
4 to 6
goals by
years.
2027.
Okay, so one season.
I mean, I would think usually 6 to 9 months, depending on the project. I like to think that I have decent contacts with Eagle and JPA, and I know Alex and John are both, you know, we all have people that we know that we try to help guide things along, so any kind of pre-application and all that kind of stuff, we like to try to get our cart ahead of the, not get the cart ahead of the horse, so we would definitely try to undersell the permitting process as far as that goes, but once permits are through, the permit's gonna be the longest, besides funding, obviously, but the permit is gonna be the longest timeline, so we would try to get that in as quickly as possible. The muscle, you wanna, you know, the muscle survey will be something that can only be done at a certain time of year, so that'll definitely dictate right away that we need to get that done. Is that April or May?
Yeah, the muscle survey is gonna be interesting for the timeline because. So the muscle survey window is April to October. So it can only be done during that time period, but also because there's federally endangered species, the process is much more involved. We have to get US Fish and Wildlife Service involved rather than just Eagle. So it's a longer process.
So 2026 construction would be aggressive, probably aggressive, but we, like I said,
4 to
we,
6 years is probably a more attainable timeline.
how many?
4 to 6.
I would hope so, yes. I'd be
It's
sad if it was 4, but.
Well, no, I
No,
know,
but yeah, you're probably right. I try not to think about that, to be
Yeah.
honest, I'm an optimist sometimes, but when it comes to Eagle, then I'm usually
well,
too aggressive.
I say that, so, I mean, this potentially could start with the next round of council and continue through a whole 4-year cycle plus.
Right,
So we have to think about setting up future councils for success as we start this project. That's the reason I bring it up.
yeah, I would agree with that, because it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we could lose a whole year just on muscles.
Yes,
I mean, for that next.
rightly so,
Yes.
no, yes, I deal with, yes, I deal with it a lot, so it can be.
I
I
appreciate.
think
the
one of the last one was the cut plant, which I didn't even know was a thing, but that delayed us a couple months for the cut plant to have a survey, so.
Well, obviously, you guys have some background in
Yeah.
these repairs. Again, we've lost a ton of riprap, like at our footbridge and things like that. Why is it so challenging to get Eagle to work with us? Again, you know, you used to dump concrete back in the day on the riverbank to stop the erosion. What's the, I guess, the logic, or what is your answers? Again, being a layman in that term, why is it so hard to control it with riprap, with rock, with?
I think a lot of it has to do with, you think, sometimes it's counterintuitive on what you think you're doing and you cause an issue downstream. So they're constantly no rise, they're worried about all that kind of stuff affecting downstream, and if you dump concrete where there's mussels, you might, you know, some of them are endangered, so they don't, but I don't know, is that kind of what you think too, or do you have?
The only thing I would add is that was one of the big reasons we looked at the natural design choices, because that's the direction that Eagle is looking in. So they are much more amenable to permitting projects that have the bioengineering natural techniques rather than just the traditional seawall type projects.
And I can totally understand that, but Eagle needs to understand funding is always very, very limited, and if they're not gonna provide the grants, or if they're not gonna provide any help in regards to that, knock on wood, it makes it very challenging to do these projects the natural way when we're struggling to afford what we're trying to do.
Right.
It's never a pretty process,
Right.
especially with Eagle for us, unfortunately.
Yeah. Our goal is hopefully like that, so.
Well, you guys certainly enlightened us, I mean, more than what I had realized.
Yeah.
And that I'm glad to see that we've at least got the ball rolling. We've been talking about it, and you guys got things moving, so thank you very much for that.
Yeah, you're welcome, and I'll get the reports to Danielle without the draft on them, and you guys, if you have any further questions or still need to talk about it, you can always call me or Danielle, and we can set up a meeting.
Are there next steps, or are you done? I mean, or?
No, so next step would be the proposal to Danielle for tests 6 through 10, and then we're
You
all
have to help with grant application or
say that again.
grant research application?
That's
that sort of
immediate,
thing?
That's all part of it.
Yep, that's I think it's 6, but.
Yeah, it's number 6 as well.
Yep, so that's immediate, we jump right into that, we start identifying as much as we can up front. So just, you know, so we don't miss the timeline, like, oh, that would have been a great grant, but we missed the timeline if we would have known 2 months earlier. So we have a finger on that pulse anyway, but it's always good to constantly be delving into that, so. And then we would bring forward what we need. There might be a resolution or two to go after grants and, go after certain funding or whatever. That comes to you guys, and then more reports, and then the hydraulic modeling, we start the application, that's all the next steps, yeah.
I'm assuming you've done other communities as well for the
Oh, yeah.
erosion as well. I was gonna say, this is not your first rodeo on this.
No, yeah, we built all the seawall in Frenchtown,
Mhm.
RDA, and then I think, I can't remember the other communities south of there, but yeah, this isn't our first.
Mhm.
Yeah, especially for John and Alex, they've done a lot.
I assume so, so thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, always appreciative of your time, so thank you. Thank you. All right, last presentation communication, Glenn.
I do not have a fancy dance PowerPoint, however, I am going to say that on Sunday, October the 6th, we are having a volunteer day, Parks and Rec. And I stated on Sunday, from 12 until 2. The idea is to go ahead and do some weeding, specifically at the step planters and over along the volleyball court. We are not going to touch that erosion on that bank at all. Eagle does not see us, but we will be supplying gloves. It's at Ellis Park. Hot dogs and drinks will also be available. So once again, Sunday, October the 6th, from 12 until 2.
Where would you like people to meet?
Ellis Park, please.
Just
At o'clock there for the stop.
Yeah, that'd be a good spot. Yeah, sure. That sounds
Ellis
good.
Park, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Yep.
All right.
Thanks. That was something that was discussed at the Parks and Rec meeting this past Tuesday.
Okay. Moving on to the agenda, Eric pointed out there's a small typo. It says agenda of September 17th, we're actually the 23rd today. But other than that, is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Lisa?
Bill,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
James.
Yes. Thank you. I will now open it up for public comment items on the agenda. Items done. State your name and record. Go ahead, Jackie.
I just have a couple of things. Jackie Bates. I saw Mike Friday, and I'm sure there were other volunteers that were doing the fall decoration. They look very nice, thank you. And the flowers, it's just kind of sad to take those flowers out because they were all still absolutely gorgeous. So I wonder if you had read the letter from the 1974 mayor of Blissfield.
I did, I steamed it open
Yeah,
and I have it on my desk to bring in and I've forgotten a number of times, so.
okay, next time. for
Yeah,
sure.
please, you gotta remind me, yeah, it's a nice letter.
Okay.
I have to get a hold of Connie Sider
Who was
as
the
well.
mayor in 1974?
Yeah, I knew that was that.
Charles Kohler?
Who?
Charles Kohler?
No, I think it was a Forky,
Piper, Eugene Piper.
Huh?
maybe.
I don't know. He would, yeah, anyways, okay, but be sure and bring it up, we all want.
Yeah,
bring it up.
absolutely. In fact,
Also,
if we get done early, I'll run home and grab it.
okay, I would like to hang this up in the vestibule if I may, it's about the blood drive coming up, Thursday, October 10th. Just to make people aware, there is a blood crisis, a shortage, so if you haven't given before and you want to, or want to do it again, some familiar faces, but I just wanted, that would be a good visible spot, I just wanted to make sure that was okay.
Yeah,
Is that good?
yeah.
Okay.
So when and where is the blood drive?
It's at the Legion,
The Legion,
yes,
On 10:10.
yeah, October 10th.
okay,
You can make an appointment, all the info's on here, make an appointment online. Last time we did a blood drive, they were not taking walk-ins. So, and it's really simple, just go online, you'll get your everything, it's from 11:30 to 5:15. So. Okay, thank you, I'm done.
thank you. Any other public comment tonight? No, all right, I'll move on to unfinished business. Council, any unfinished business?
Yeah, with the water loop project, I'll be quick here, are the hydrants in service, that's all good to go for the,
Yes, we are scheduled, the engineer that was the project manager on that was sick, so we still have to do the final walkthrough. But the project is complete, it's running, we'll go through, make sure there's no little small things that need to be touched up. Retainage has been held on that project,
Okay.
and pending that final walkthrough.
cause I think the hydrants need to be turned to face the road, is that correct? They're still bagged as well,
Okay,
so I'm not sure if they've been tested or what, but.
I
Other than that, it
believe
should
it
be
all
complete.
was, but I'll double check on that. But yes, the project is complete. So I actually had talked to Aaron about getting that final walkthrough scheduled, and we were just waiting for that engineer to return from being, I just got a cold or something.
I have something also. So I don't know how many council members have or have not been contacted about the new water meters, but I have not been contacted. And I think you got yours in already, right? But I haven't been contacted, so.
I reached out to you.
You did,
Yes,
on email?
I texted you.
Oh, well then. Maybe I haven't contacted.
I will make sure I was messaging the correct bill as well.
Okay.
I thought it was weird you never responded back to me,
Okay.
but I was like, oh, he's just busy. It was also kind of a quick, cause they had reached out and I was trying to scramble to get the schedule completed and. So it was really last minute. We'll touch base on that and see what happened. It may have been my mistake, so I apologize.
What's the update on that? I mean, I was not able to partake, so were you guys all able to put yours in today?
They put mine in today.
Did they?
Very quick process, they should be in and out of people's homes, 15-20 minutes,
Okay.
the meter size are the same, very.
Except
For the
for
most
my-
part, for the
except for
most
my
part,
house.
sorry, yeah, but they all, it's literally, there's no plumbing work, it's in and out. The only thing I would say is, let the air out of your lines, run your faucets for just a few seconds to get all the air out after the new meters installed. Very quick, simple process, so.
Danielle, you did contact me.
Okay. I'm not losing it. I was worried for a minute. Okay,
Want me to reply?
that's okay.
We
So we did only install 2 council members. Jerry has a unique size meter. Those meters are not in yet. And then the technician that was installing the meters, he unfortunately last week cut his hand and had to get some stitches. So he did not want to have to do the crawl space at Tim's because of those stitches. So Tim had to be pushed off as well. And then a couple of you were just not available today because it was a short window. So we did end up putting meters at Public Works and the Historical Depot as well. So since we have access to those, we should know by tomorrow morning if those meters are reading. We're gonna send through several test reads to make sure that there's no errors when the data comes from Aclara to BSNA and make sure that we're able to properly process those bills. Assuming that all goes smoothly, then we will start sending out notices to our residents. I'll be publishing some information online. They'll get mailers. We'll be doing blasts all over. I'll reach out to the advance to try to get all of that scheduled with people. Like Mike said, we're asking people to schedule, it'll be about 30 minutes. And we'll work with them they'll call a number that'll be on that flyer to schedule an appointment that's convenient and works around their schedule. And once they start installing them, it'll start moving fairly quickly. Just because we are getting into potentially colder weather in winter, we are probably looking at doing the trailer park first, since those are all underneath trailers, so that those technicians are not having to crawl through snow under the trailers as well. But I will keep you guys posted as we move forward, and we'll see how the test meters go.
James, I was hoping we'd get through this quick 15 minutes, but that Danielle speaking alluded to the next point, we need to decide as a board how we're gonna go about declare. Are we gonna require it? Are we gonna opt out? It's obviously we purchased the system to be more efficient. And I know some people have concerns about the RF frequencies or whatever. You think the declare can be mounted outside of the home, can be mounted inside of the home. But we need to give Danielle and the water department some direction how we're gonna go about.
Yeah, I was going to put that on the next agenda. I was trying to get some more information from Eclair too, but yes, I've had. 3 residents specifically, and there may be a couple others that do not want the system. The ones that I'm aware of didn't because they didn't want the frequencies through their home. So those reed systems can be mounted to the exterior of the home to eliminate that. But we have the option that we still go manually read their meter and they opt out of it, or we just require it from everybody. I did talk to a couple other communities that did this as well to see what they did, and they required, it was mandatory. But that will be on the agenda for your guys' consideration to the next meeting. I think it's October 14th or 9, I don't remember now. Whatever that meeting is in October.
What's 7?
14th, yes.
Oh, yeah, someone's the first one. Okay. Any other unfinished business? Okay. New business. It's a pretty cool one, some arch bridge lighting. Any questions or comments on this for Danielle or?
So Marty is here as well from the Blissfield Rotary. He's the chair lead for the subcommittee that the Rotary kind of formed to look into this. I tried to include the information in there regarding the donation. Rotary is willing to fully fund this project. They are also willing or wanting to put $20,000 aside for maintenance and upkeep so that the burden doesn't fall completely on the village. And we are at the Rotary having further discussions about maybe adding $1,000 or $2,000 to that annually to help with maintenance. Because we do realize that when we do these projects that somebody's then got to pay to keep them up. But if you have questions for myself or Marty, we will try to answer them.
So as I was reading this, the very last statement said the DPW did show concern that anything screwed into the bridge is likely to rot around. So what is your plan, if you will, to fix that stuff to the bridge?
It is with a screw.
So I forgot I was gonna tell you too. I don't know if you guys seen it. I apologize. This afternoon I did email you some photos of what the lights would look like. So there's 2 brackets on them that would be screwed into the bridge, and then the lights kind of just hang from the bracket. So it would allow airflow between so that there's not a buildup of just like snow or moisture sitting there that's not drying out, which we're hoping will help with that. And then because it's just those 2 brackets, it's not gonna be a lot of screws. My understanding for Brent, and I wanted to include that because I didn't want to hide that concern with you guys at all, but when we replaced those, he said that every spot that there was a screw, like moisture would get around it and kind of spread from there. But the lights would be on the bottom side as well, so you're not gonna have like ice or snow sitting on them seeping into it. It'll be a little bit protected as well. Hopefully.
The plan to go over the whole arch and then along the bottom side, you said?
It's
Just the arch.
Just the arch. But the bottom side of the arch.
Yes, yeah.
We actually met the electrician down there and he brought a sample of the light and we put it, so it was on like a big pole that he had built. We put it up there because we wanted to see how it reflected. So if you saw the pictures that Danielle sent out.
Yeah.
We're trying to get that effect. I will tell you the one that looks like the American flag. I was talking to the manufacturer's rep and he thought that photo was probably photoshopped a little bit. It's probably not gonna be that crystal clear. He didn't want our expectation to be too high. So the other photo I have, the one that is more purple, that is kind of like worst case scenario. So, which is okay. I would love to get that flag effect. That's really what I'm shooting for. but we'll see, it depends on the water but I stood on the bridge on the road while he held it up and looked at the reflection on the water, it reflected really well. Crisp lines, that might be a little bit of a stretch, but I'm hoping that we could get something close to that out of it, would be really nice.
What about that skyline?
Yeah, probably not.
It's gonna be like on a sensor, they'll come on at a certain time and shut off.
So it's an app that's controlled from a phone or an iPad. So someone's gonna have control of that. So changing colors with seasons would be great. I mean, all of that. So somebody would be responsible to do that.
So
I actually told Danielle that I would raise my hand if you wanted for the first year or so to do that. I would be more than happy to.
So you can change it with the seasons then.
Definitely. And they're customizable every 2 feet. So every 2 feet you can have a different color, which would help us get the flag effect if we were trying to do that. And yeah, it's all done from a phone.
I appreciate Marty, the looking forward, for having the funds maintained. I think that's.
And frankly, that came about from the clock a couple years ago where you guys needed some help with that. It was like, you know, if we have the money now and we know this is a bigger project, let's try and set some money aside so that when those things do come up, we can say, all right, we have money aside and we can help and get it done. So I will tell you, one of the plans with this, because just to get that sample took about a month to get here so that we could see what it was gonna look like. The plan is to order some extra sections when we get, so that we have them in case one burns out, because like my pet peeve is lights that don't work, drives me crazy. So if I drive by and a section's out, I don't wanna have to wait 2 months for it to get here. So we're gonna order some extra sections so that we have them.
What is the lifetime on these?
So they come with a 5-year warranty, because I was talking to him about that, and I'm pretty sure that's what he told me was 5-year warranty. So what the lifespan is, I don't know, they're LEDs. Yeah, it's 5 years on the fixture. It's warranty, so. I would hope at least double that. I would hope.
All right, is there a motion?
Certainly, I would move to support the installation of lights on a pedestrian arch bridge in partnership with the Blissfield Rotary.
I'll second that.
Any other questions or comments? Especially that we have a rep here. No, thank you for your time. I appreciate you coming in and representing Rotary so well.
I do, James, I guess. Again, I love the project. It kind of stemmed from some of the design committee had talked about in the past, and it sort of evolved just because of the cost. I think Brenda took it on and kind of moved forward with it. My concern is the mounting of those. You know, we didn't put the cap on it because the engineer said not to, like that, but what we're trying to do is protect the length, the lifespan of the bridge. And I don't believe the previous bridge was pressure treated much like this arch is. I think we're gonna have a better solution. I'm a little fearful of mounting anything if they don't want us to put the cap on it, but again, I think we should maybe just re-verify that these are different woods, you know, it's a different type of wood. Let's use the right side, right kind of screw or bolt or whatever you use that's gonna try to, you know, seal that or not conflict with the wood, whether it's stainless or I'm not sure what they would use, but that's my fear is, you know, jeopardizing the lifespan of that bridge, especially after what it costs to replace it, whatnot, so. I would prefer to stay all
Talk
like
to
that.
Manik Smith, they have a bridge engineer, I can talk to him and see if he maybe has a specific material or any concerns as well. Or the screws that, I'm not sure if there's a specific type for.
Because the bracket stays right, the bracket, and you would just pop off the 2-foot LED stretch and plug it back in.
It looks like it goes up and clips in.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys need a minute?
No, I think she got.
I'm just asking a contractor that was putting this up for us.
Oh, it's Bruton Electric out of.
Thank you.
The Jackson area. It's Tim Cook, who he's a
That's
local.
He's a local guy, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, Lisa?
Eric,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
James,
Yes, thank you, Marty, and to Rotary as well. Item number 2, resolution year-end amendment. So this, I read through these, it just seems to be a little housekeeping on the accounting side. Any questions about these?
We don't have to do each one individually, do we?
No, we do not.
I might see that, okay.
You can do them as a whole. I just broke it down that way so you guys could see it, that it's a easier visual.
Danielle, did anything jump out at you?
No, our employees have done such a good job watching the budget and working to get projects done and staying within and not just going crazy. So I appreciate all of their hard work, but no, I don't have any concerns with them.
Move council to approve the resolution approving the year 2023-2024 year-end budget amendments as presented.
Support.
Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Lisa.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Bill, Tim,
Yes.
James,
Yes, thank you. And last item, approval of the Michigan Municipal League Liability and Property Pool 2024 ballot. I remember this from last year, and there was like 2 candidates then,
Yes, there was.
and there's 2 candidates now. I bet
Yeah,
they were
a
like,
lot.
I'll move to vote for Thad Beard and Dan Swallow for pool directors of Michigan Municipal League Liability and Property Pool and authorize the village administrator to cast the vote on behalf of the governing body.
Support.
Any questions or comments? Best of luck to Thad Beard and Dan Swallow. Lisa?
Mike,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Yes,
James,
thank you. Moving on to reports, any questions or comments on the reports? None, none? Open it up for council discussion then. Just like to say, I'm excited to go down to the old pool site tomorrow and check out the progress.
They start with that. I saw the thing down there. so
Started today.
Whatever that big thing was down there.
Started.
Yeah, they were pulling fence today.
Yeah.
And they're gonna take out some shuffleboard courts as well.
Yes,
We have those marked
yes.
already.
You wanna go hit one more. No,
We're saving a couple, that's why I wanna, I just wanna
That's all
start
right.
saving a
That's like when you
couple.
go to surgery, you make sure you save this one, so they get one to do.
That's what I.
Yeah.
Actually write it out, this.
Alright, any other council discussion?
Yeah, real quick, I know basically you're gonna start by the time they get here, would be there, the radar speeds, anything we approved, can we look into ordering those? Get those up,
Yeah, I have just been trying to wrap up year-end projects, as much as possible before we started getting into the new fiscal year, but yes, we will work on that.
Yeah, you know, I've noticed an increase of those. Sort of out my travels, I've been seeing them more often, so. Must be, speeding must be an issue everywhere. Not just, let's go. Didn't realize how fast I was going to. I did. All right, any other council discussion? No, light on discussion tonight? All right, public comment, one more time, items on the agenda, items not on the agenda. Nothing? How about that? Would someone make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn at 7:57 PM.
Or. Thank you, Lisa, last time.
Gwen,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
James.
Yeah, meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone. We're back again October 14th.
Thanks, Jane.
Good morning. You all.